Welcome to our Bleach discussion podcast. I am here today with Tensa Getsu 59 and Too Spooky. Say hi, guys.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
So today we're going to be discussing a newer anime. Maybe you've heard of it. I guess it's old now. But we're going to be discussing Bleach. We obviously have never done something like this on this channel, so but we've been kind of wanting to do it for quite a while. But I think now is a better time to do it than ever. And we have a opening topic of discussing the potential return of the Bleach anime, and should it happen, and what would happen if it were to return. So before I forget, I'd like to take a very quick moment to mention this podcast sponsor, Elsword. Elsword is a free-to-play online MMORPG platformer. It's also got a 2D and 3D blend art style. It's got awesome art with a very anime-like feel, which I think works quite well. The game contains PvP and PvE options, so depending on what you're into, it's got a good time in for you regardless. There are 12 different characters with great storylines and backstories, and Elsword's been around for quite a while now, and continues to be updated and worked on frequently, so you can constantly check for new features and things to do. There have been a lot of recent updates, including new in-game mechanics, a reworked skill point system, and there's also lots of new artwork, along with a new character named Labby, so don't forget to check it out. If you're interested in what the game may contain story-wise, there's also an anime. All links will be in the description, so please make sure you check it out. Anyway, yeah. Basically what we have written down here is what would happen if the Bleach anime came back, what are the pros and cons of that, you think, and are there any things that you're worried about, and are there any things that you're excited for? So go ahead, guys.
Really know when would be the right time, whether that be right now or a couple years from now. But obviously now that the manga is finished, I feel like if they really wanted to, waiting maybe a couple more years and then just restarting it from the very beginning to the very end with like modern animation, I feel would be amazing for one. At least that would be one of the pros for me.
So you would be okay with like a reboot?
Yeah, like personally, I think it would be really cool to like restart it from episode 1, no filler all the way through. I think that would be awesome. I think like it might not work the same.
Did
like,
you
I
say
would still
no
be...
filler?
No filler, yeah.
Okay.
Like, since the manga is complete,
like to start right from.
Get that away from me! Never. But I feel like if they gave it like the Hunter x Hunter treatment, where they start it from the start, all over again, no filler, just straight from the manga, I feel like it would be great. But I also would not be opposed if they just continued it from the final arc onwards, because obviously they've already done everything else, so they don't necessarily need to redo it. I just feel like that could be a potential like pro for them waiting a little longer, because I know a lot of people want it back right now, but I mean, patience is a virtue, my lads.
And everyone's already waited so long.
Right. I was gonna say the only con I see with the Hunter comparison is that Hunter x Hunter, that original came out in like what, the late 90s?
It was 1999.
Yeah, 1999, and then it came back in 2011. So Bleach anime ended
2012.
2011.
20
right? Oh, 2012.
It was,
okay.
yeah, I think it was 2012. So I mean, if we're talking like another, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, that seems like a long time to wait just to have it reboot, to be like, oh, I know the whole final arc, but it's like, we're just gonna wait and then do the whole series up to the final arc. Like, that's my only complaint. But like, Hunter x Hunter did it well, so like, I don't know, but I see your point. It's a very like a good point, because I think they could, by that point, the animation like could be godly. But you know, if it ends up in the right hands, but in the wrong hands, it could be terrible. Tokyo Ghoul.
Like, it would be my ideal situation, but I'm like I said, I'm not opposed to just a continuation at all. I still think everyone would be happy with that regardless.
I personally think that is a good idea, and I'd be okay for that, because I would love to see, like, say, the first arc and second arc redone, especially, right, with the Soul Society. However, I'd be worried because, like, obviously, you know, the old Bleach animation, although definitely not modern and as flashy and amazing as what some of the stuff that comes out today is, there'd be the risk that they would make it even worse, sort of, or like more kind of artificial, because that is something that if the Bleach anime would come back, chances are it would go to Studio P, which just brought back Tokyo Ghoul recently, right, with Tokyo Ghoul Re, and they didn't do so well with that. And so,
So we can't all be we can't all get Madhouse.
yeah, we not every like Bleach is not ever, in my opinion, gonna get a Madhouse treatment. A lot of people wanted it to, because especially since there was so much censorship in Bleach. However, I don't see it happening. I don't think that would be who it would go to, because, let's look at what shows that Studio P had that they gave up to other people or other studios to animate. Madhouse is kind of the one that moves around. Like, they had One Punch Man. They didn't come back for season 2. They gave it to JC staff. They come back and take on rebooted animes. But with Bleach and with all the other kind of Shonen Jump ones, like besides the Toei ones that are like Dragon Ball and One Piece, Naruto and Bleach and Tokyo Ghoul were all Studio P. And so I don't see anyone else besides Studio P taking it if it were to return. I personally would like to see Bones work on it. Bones is working on Mob Psycho 100 season 1 and 2, and they're also doing the Boku no Hero anime, which is both phenomenal anime. But for the final arc by itself, I think that they might be able to handle it, but to do a full reboot, as cool as that would be, I feel like they would just make all of it even worse.
It's a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a risk that they would have to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think
would have to take.
I think at this point, if you really wanted to bring it back, you'd have to jump into the final arc, because that's what everybody wants to see. Everybody knows the Soul Society arc, the Arrancar, Aizen, the Fullbringers, and all that. Like, we all know it. I think everybody wants to see the Quincy's and Yuha and all that kind of stuff. So I think it would just be smarter for them to do it. And it would probably take less production time to do so. I mean, you're just covering one arc.
It's also a gamble,
one
because
entire
Bleach
arc.
didn't do as well as the others, right? So doing the final arc by itself, although a gamble, not as risky as redoing the entire thing, which took them years to animate.
I think people would look forward to it. I think when something has been gone for so long, when it kind of pops back up and you remember it, you kind of get excited for it. I don't know. Like, that just seems...
That's why the final arc would do well.
Yeah.
But the entire series, that would be like...
that
initial excitement of, it's back. Okay.
It's back,
and
it's got better animation. It's kind of like, okay, like, it's not... Again, going back to Hunter x Hunter, I hate to do it, but it's like 99 animation is totally different from, Madhouse 2011 animation. Whereas, 2012 Bleach, where it ended and where it would pick up later, it might not be as different. I don't think there's much as a difference in style and all that. So in the case that if Studio P is going to pick it up, which is highly likely, I would just kind of go for it with the final arc. But the idea of a total reboot, almost like a Bleach Kai sort of thing, where they just kind of skip the filler and do everything else, like, I think it's a cool idea. I'm just not sure it's the smart one.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it just depends on how long they decide to wait until they bring Bleach back. Because obviously, if it comes back within like the next, let's say, 3 years, I feel like just going with the final arc would be the safest and probably best option. But like, let's say it takes like what, 10 years? I mean, for all we know, it could take that long before the Bleach anime is like, we should probably bring this back.
The voice actress would be dying at that rate.
Yeah, we're gonna have to they probably have to get a whole new staff, to be honest. Like,
not right now.
VAs and not right now, but like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're thinking, well, we started Bleach back in 2004, right? I think that's when the anime began.
Yeah.
So that'd be how many years? That'd be like...
Well, it's
way too many years, basically.
And see, here's the other thing.
It'd be like 25 years.
The manga is done. The manga is done and finished. And 10 years from now, it's like, is anybody gonna be like really begging for it? Like, is anybody be like, man, where's that? Like, I think now is the perfect time. That it's been about.
I agree.
Like we're going on 3 years that it's been gone and ended, and the anime's been gone for now 7 years. The manga's been done for like 3.
I think it's only been 2 because
it's going on 3.
Oh yes, it is going.
It ended back in 2016.
Right, this summer it'll be 3.
Yeah, this summer it'll be 3. So
cool. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. it doesn't feel like it. Feels like it's been forever, to be honest.
Yeah. Man.
So I just reread it. I just reread that final volume, and I was just like, I felt like I was just reviewing all these chapters, and now it's already here. It's just very weird, very surreal, but...
I have read the beginning of the final arc way too many times, so it's kind of boring to me. But the middle and near the end is... Especially, like, I feel like the middle of the arc was, like, pretty good.
It's been so long since I've read it that I really only remember, like, the last few chapters and then, like, little segments throughout it. Like, for the longest time, I completely forgot that those two characters who I'm not even going to name because their names are so forgettable at the beginning of it.
Yes.
I completely forgot they ever existed because, I mean, I read most of the manga back in 2014, so it's been 5 years now since all of that was fresh in my mind. So other than keeping up week to week towards the end, I wasn't really paying much attention. Or it's not that I wasn't paying much attention. I just forgot. It's been a while.
And with my adaptation, a lot of people would kind of just was like, oh yeah, Rukia came and did it, right? No. No, they decided to give a mini arc to people who'd never be mentioned again.
Yeah. Shame.
But yeah, so if it were to come back, I think obviously we've touched on this a little bit now. So I kind of said what I was worried about if it would to come back, but I think I have one more worry that I'd probably mention, and then things that you'd be excited for. So I guess that would be stuff like, you know, things you'd like to see animated or
fights mostly.
Everyone. Yeah,
everybody wants to see
fights.
all of Zaraki's stuff between him fighting Unohana, Gremi, going Bankai, all that kind of, like, everybody wants to see that. Everybody wants to see Yamamoto's Bankai. Everybody wants to see all the Bankais. So I think that's kind of the major thing, mostly. That's it's a lot of the fights. That's
I want to see Byakuya versus Asnot specifically because I want to see how it looks in contrast to mine.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, I prefer to see Rukia versus Asnot, but your reason makes sense for you.
Yeah, because it'd be really cool to see, like, the difference between, you know, a professional studio and what I did, and I want to see if any of the scenes were, like, similar or anything like that, because that'd be really cool. Besides that, Yamamoto versus Iwachi, of course.
Right.
Mayuri versus Pernida. And Zaraki versus Unohana would probably be my favorite.
That'd be a cool one.
And Rukia versus Asnot, of course, because that was amazing. Yeah.
I was gonna say, not to interrupt, but we were kind of talking about the things that are exciting and what we're looking forward to. I was gonna mention the one thing I'm worried about is that it's just going to be a straight through adaptation. And what I mean is that I wish that they will, if they bring it back, if it comes back, I'd like for them to maybe add a little bit more to it.
Yes.
Since by the end and even in the middle, it felt like stuff was left out. And I think that was felt because it was rushed. It really was. If you really think about it, I mean, even we all know it. I mean, we love Bleach, but like there's some parts where you're just like, whoa, like this got like hold up, because between when Yuha fights the Zero Squad and all that, and then they're all just kind of wiped out, and then obviously the end is just like, I was rereading the final volume and everything goes by way too fast. When you're reading it on a week-to-week basis, it's better because it's just like, oh man, like I can't wait, is this all great? When you're going through, it's like, man, this is all like, it's going way too fast. Like, I loved Yuha versus Aizen, but reading it again, I was like, this could have been so much better, and it could have been a way longer fight, and there's things that are missing that don't make sense, and I'd like to see potentially Kubo work with the studio who will adapt it and maybe be like, hey, in this part, I was going to do this, but I didn't have time. Can we put this in there? Like, I'd like to see him work. Yeah, I'd like to see him work super close with this and add some of the stuff that didn't get into the published version. Like, if they don't,
really
if it's just
that.
This is
if it's just a
100%
straight up
what I was gonna
adaptation.
say. That and Like, I definitely would love to have things like added in, right? Because there's a lot of things that were rushed.
This is where I like kind of look like filler-ish. I'm doing quotes. You can't see it, but filler. But
well, it's not filler.
It's not like, filler, but it's just like it's adding stuff in.
Flesh it out properly.
Yeah, if it makes it better, then at the end of the day, it's not a problem.
Right.
If it progresses the story at like a better pace and answers questions that we wouldn't originally know, like it's really not that big of a deal. Like I would never be upset about that kind of stuff. What I don't like is when they're like, oh, these two guys are gonna fight, but oh, wait a second, we're back in Karakura Town and let's see what Chad's up to.
The filler arcs are the things we don't want. If you add bits and pieces to the existing arc and mini arcs within it, nothing's wrong with that. You're just padding it out properly, and you're actually giving it, you know, the meat and veggies that it deserves. Like, But I was gonna say, on top of that, my ambition at the beginning of the project, I originally planned with my project to change a lot more than I currently plan to change, because I don't really have the resources or time. But if they were to bring it back, there's a lot of things, you know, not just under addition, but like, really, you're gonna go that route, or that's what you're gonna do? And I don't know how far they would stray from it. In fact, I have my doubts that they would be able to at all. But there's lots of things that happen that I'm just like, oh, you know, that was a real pity that they decided to do that. Like, I guess with for example, the Zero Squad. Now, you could give them more time, or you can show their fights, but they still kind of were lackluster and pathetic in the end of things.
But
like,
you could, but with some better adaptation, instead of just showing like, oh, they've all been dispatched, like show their fight, show, you know,
what they can do.
Yeah, show what they can do. Maybe show what we didn't see like off screen. Like,
so were you satisfied
when
with
Yuha
fight?
beat Ichibei, and then he turns around and he's like, come on guys, and like you see the Zero Squad just down, everybody's down, and you're thinking like, well, what happened? Like, cut in, like, I wouldn't even mind if you cut in between Ichibei and the Zero Squad, like back and forth sort of thing. Like, they don't have to be like full episodes, don't have to be dedicated to each fight, because it's all going on simultaneously. So the way that you can work with that, you can edit it in a way where it's like, it feels very fluid and all that. So like, we could see that. Like, I'd like to see more of the Zero Squad, because that's where we're sitting here right now. Like, yeah, Zero Squad, pretty anticlimactic. We saw them appear and we're like, oh my god, these guys are gonna like give Yuha a run for his money, and all these Stern Ritters are like, what are they gonna do? And then they just get off screened, and
it's funny because they said with the Zero Squad, each member is stronger than all of the Serite combined. Yeah. Right? And then, like, it wasn't them who defeated the people who defeated them. It was the captains.
Yeah.
And some of them soloed them.
So it doesn't make any sense.
All it takes is Nanao and Kyoraku to defeat Lille. All it took was Urahara and Yoriichi to defeat... and Grimmjow, I guess.
And Grimmjow.
Imagine Unohana fighting against some of those Stern Ritters.
Well,
Bankai alone, she could have wiped out several of them.
Thing. We never even found out what exactly her Bankai does.
Oh, apparently they said in the book or something like that what it does.
Oh, I hate
freaking light novels.
I know, but
just the data books and light novels. That's like so. That's another thing. Like, if that's gonna be in there, like put it in the anime. Like, don't skip over it, because that's what we're we're sitting here like, well, what's her Bankai do? It's like, well, in the book it said this. Okay, well, add that and tell me that. I don't want to have to go look at another source. Like, show me that.
There's also changes and stuff. Like, okay, so an example even bigger than the Zero Squad was the person who fought them, Yuha, and his powers, and how bull he became, and how much sense he didn't make. He was just like, I win because I can. Because
I can alter futures even when I die. Ha ha. It's like, no,
I have the Infinity Stones.
You have no power in this realm. It's like, no, come on, be an actual villain. Like, there's things like that, and you could be like, all right, it's because the fight got rushed. And it's like, no, well, his power is still stupid. And then there's stuff like Gerard. Well, they're trying to fight him. That fight went on too long.
What was Kubo's end game with Gerard?
I don't know.
What was it? What were they gonna do?
I thought,
he just kept getting back up. They're like, the more I die, the stronger. Well,
you know when he exploded and you saw that little medallion, like, in the middle? Like, I was just thinking, are they gonna do like the One Punch Man thing with that guy that everyone fought below the alien ship?
Yeah.
And they just have to break his Quincy medallion, and then he dies. But that didn't happen,
That would've
so
been
whatever.
dumb.
They had plenty of time to do that, though. So it was like, okay, that was just a bad choice. So I
But there
hope
was
they
no-
change stuff like that. Like,
But
and-
then they insinuated that he was the Soul King's heart. So where's all that? Like, what does that mean?
yeah, exactly.
What was up with the Soul King? I mean, Pernida. He was the left
hand. Yeah.
the left hand of the Soul King. How? I don't. That's the only question I have. How do you recruit the left hand of the Soul King? How do you have the heart of the Soul King fighting for Quincy's? Like, you have to tell us this. Like, I can't. It all makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're asking too many questions.
I
There,
know.
bud.
I know.
You're gonna have to come with us.
I'm looking way too into it.
I'm gonna have to ask you to shut your trap if you know what's good for you.
Okay, so those are definitely things we're worried about. Spooky, what about you? Is there anything? Is it about the same as us, or do you have anything in particular?
You guys basically said it all.
Yeah.
There's not much else I can input in all that.
I'm sorry, we took up all the good complaints.
No, it's okay. We think the same. I understand.
It's okay.
I was gonna say, there's plenty more. I mean,
Oh, it's a never-ending list, to be honest.
it really
You guys-
is.
Okay, so like
you guys
when?
focused on the.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you guys focused on the important stuff. But anyways, go ahead, Ryan. What's up? What's going on?
We could either do. We could think about one thing in particular on terms of changes, right? If you would be like, okay, in the anime, I hope they do something different with this particular bit. We could pick our number one thing that we'd want changed. Or we could move on to the next question. However, I think that would be an interesting thing to discuss. You have to.
I mean,
pick your favorite.
one thing to change in the entire arc,
Yep.
Mine's pretty simple.
Okay.
like thing or an event.
Really?
Yeah, they need to be better.
They
They
do.
need to do anything.
Is
You
that?
can't be like, hey, these are the most badass Soul Reapers of our time. You didn't even know they existed. They're so badass. Oh, look, they're all fucking dead. Yikes.
That's a yeet.
That was really cool.
Oh, they're gone.
Man, I can't believe that really made me hyped for 3 chapters. Yay.
Was it only? Were they only around for 3 chapters?
No, they were probably around for a little more than that.
It was like
Just
30.
Was it really that?
Well,
either
I
way.
mean, they
we,
got
like, saw them in
introduced.
bits and pieces.
Either way, they
Yeah.
hyped them up so much just to be exposable. For like, they didn't. What did they accomplish? Really, they're just like, "Hey, we healed you guys up. Get out of here, you little chumps. Oh, we're dead."
Yeah.
That's basically it summed up right there.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler
I was gonna
alert.
say now that I think about it, the last time we saw any of the Zero Squad was when Ichigo brought back Ichibei by saying his name, and that was it. That
okay.
was the last time we saw anyone from that squad.
And like we only like, not that Shikai and Bankai are the most important things, but I feel like all of us can agree that it's one of the really cool aspects of Bleach, the powers, what their
Yeah.
Zanpakutos can do. We only saw the Shikai of, I forget his name, but one of the other guys. In
Crane
Ichibei.
dude, the dude with the spiky hair.
Korinji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
only saw Ichibei's Bankai. Everything else is a complete mystery. Like, what? How can you get soloed that quick?
And with Nimaya, who literally one-shot all of his elite guard, and then they got back up.
Yeah.
You're telling me the man who created Zanpakutos is just gonna get shot off screen? What the heck is that?
I mean, he was technically shot on screen. They just freaking blew right through him. My gun could shoot through everything,
right.
and then he's just got a hole stuck, and he's like, blah, I'm dead. And it's like, no.
It was the worst.
No, he got a hole through his chest and spine.
Oh
Like-
my god.
That's my main complaint. Like, you can't bring in what's supposed to be like these extremely powerful characters who are supposed to be like a big part of this whole arc, and then just take them away that quickly.
Especially when they're such
that
end
easily.
game characters.
Yeah, like what the frick?
What the what?
So that would be mine. I mean, I don't know what you guys got.
Okay.
That's what I would pick.
Tensa.
Biggest disappointment.
I'll go back to, I think I've mentioned it a couple times, but I was reading the final volume, and man, it sounds cliche because I know, Ryan, you want to redo it, but it's that final fight between Yuha and Ichigo is so, but it's not just when they go back to Soul Society. I mean, when he's fighting him one-on-one, and Orihime's kind of there, and she's protecting him, and he, goes, releases the hollow version, and he's all cool, and you see the Getsugasero, and you're like, oh my god, this is so amazing. And then that's when Yuha starts going, I can place things in the future, and there's a trap right there on your foot. There's another trap, and I'm like, no, because
So
like then
lame.
Ichigo starts going like, oh, my leg and my foot, and it's like, what now? I'm gonna go Bankai, and I mean that is the biggest that Bankai is the biggest middle finger in the entire series. I'm sure there's other ones, but oh man, again rereading it, I flipped the page and it's just broken. It's just broken, and then like there's Sans Yuhan. He's like, yeah, sure, Bankai was a formal one I saw in the future. Let's see it. Let's see what it could do. I want to know what it could do. Why did you break it?
Oh, but
Why did you have Ichigo go through all this training, reveal his past, that he's got all these Quincy powers and Hollow powers and Soul Reaper powers and human abilities and all that, and then now he's got 2 swords, and now he can combine those 2 swords and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you give him this okay looking Bankai. I don't think it was what people were expecting, but it looked okay for a page, and then it was gone. And it was
It's a nice
like
Bankai you got there.
but then he gets it restored,
and then it gets broken
and you
again.
still don't see it, and then it just goes Getsuga again. He just goes Getsuga Tensho. I'm like, dude, we've seen that. Like, I want to know what that Bankai did that was able to combine all of his powers into just one physical manifestation, and we didn't see it. And so that whole thing, that is a huge problem for me. That fight, Ichigo versus Yuha, needs to be 1,000 times better. I need to see that Bankai in action. It can get broken, I don't care, but I have to see what it can do before. And then if we go back into the Soul Society, you need to address too, I think, the biggest thing that always bugs me was when Urahara was dying in the gift ball, and he just says, it's now up to you, Kurosaki, Kuchiki. It means nothing. And we all thought, oh, like Rukia, some thought Byakuya, like, oh, they're gonna play a part in Ichigo being able to defeat Yuha. And it never really meant anything.
I'm gonna change mine to kind of follow along with that, actually, because I forgot how much that bugged me.
Yeah, that's such a
Rukia's got one of the most like OP broken powerful Bankais now, and she's like, Renji, you go with him. I'm gonna sit here with Orihime.
Yeah. Well, Yuha stands there. He's like, why didn't you bring Orihime and Rukia? He's like, who are you two? Like, could you just think that, oh, they suck and they can't go? Like, he says something stupid. And I'm just like, yeah, well, like, why didn't you guys bring them? And there's no answer. There's never an answer because it's just them.
Well, Renji defeated one person now, so now he can defeat Yuha. No.
But no, because he gets his arm cut off.
No, that was Aizen.
Or so we. I know. I was gonna say, or so it would seem, because.
Or so you thought.
Yeah, like that was a whole. But see, that's. I did love the Aizen versus Yuha fight.
I want more. I want more. Really hard. And I also want him, like, he did really well, but I wish he like.
There has to be more to it.
He needs to play a bigger part because
he
like
does.
You can't. Aizen was like omnipotent god, and then yes, like Yuha is also one, but like with Aizen, he like got ragdolled by Yuha, and then he's like, just kidding, I used my Shikai on you, even though somehow,
Oh, but I forgot to do that on Ichigo.
Also,
that was my first mistake.
Yeah, so then why is it, it's like, he was like, who would have thought that me not showing you my Shikai would have been a positive in the end? And it's like, well, why, how are you still not? How have you still not shown him your I don't know.
I'm not as smart as I look.
Also, also here's another thing, right? All the other captains, right? They got trapped and tricked because Aizen showed them the Shikai when he was on their team, and he was like, here, look at my Shikai. And it was like, they thought it was a water thing. But that's how he got them to all look at his Shikai, and that's how he got him in the permanent trap that is his Shikai, right?
Yeah, but like, at any
you
point,
watch, he had to
shown that to Ichigo too.
Yeah, he could have, but with Yuha, right? There was no point where he took out his sword and did release.
Well,
no,
because he became one with his sword. Remember?
So he can
after it disappeared, he said, "Look at my look at my Zanpakuto, Ichigo. Is like, it is disappearing. The Hogyoku is realizing that it's like you, where I have no need for a Zanpakuto.
That was a mistake, though. That was his misunderstanding of what was happening to him.
But then his sword
was back for the Yuha
His sword
fight.
did Thanos snap disappear. I mean, it just sort of dissipated, and then he has it. And he's fighting Yuha with it.
Yeah,
in the future on accident.
I think the answer is we don't know what's happened. Well, nobody knows what Aizen is or how his powers works. He doesn't even. Kubo doesn't even, because then you could go into the Bankai thing, which I don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
Aizen having a Bankai. But to kind of go on top of what you were saying, for me, you know, if I were to be like, okay, there's one thing I'd like to change, or I'd like to see if the Bleach anime came back, because I do care about the anime more than the manga, because I am someone who loves, you know, animation, and the Bleach anime is what got me into Bleach. The Bleach manga also very good, of course. However, I have more emotions invested into the anime. It's all about, for me, like, yeah, there was rough patches through the final arc, but it's all about how it kind of concludes and wraps up and ends for me as well. So, like, with that final fight and how, like, why did not everyone still alive not try and help Ichigo in some giant, like, super fight against Yuha? Like, look at Full Metal Alchemist, everyone versus father.
Oh, my God.
You know? I'm sorry, this guy's gonna destroy the multiverse. And let's let the ginger and the pineapple go after him. They can do it.
Send the guy who goes, "It's over. I can't do anything anymore." And it's like, oh yeah, and then send.
Also, he got bodied by Askin before fighting Yuha.
Yeah.
If you can't beat Askin, how are you gonna beat Yuha?
Send the broken kid who's had his powers stolen too. By the way, he had his Quincy/Hollow powers taken away from him by Yuha. So why send him?
Also,
like, he's totally broken emotionally. Like, why?
Urahara probably would have had a better chance against Yuha.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man.
You send Unohana and Urahara during the first invasion? Oh my God. They absolutely wreck him.
And he wasn't invincible at that point.
No, because it hadn't awoken. It just awoken conveniently when he fought Ichibei, the strongest of the zero. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there needs to be like proper rules for characters and their powers, because with Bleach it's too much of like 180 convenience 180 my power counters your power. There's nothing you can do, and I win to progress the plot. Like, I would rather like somebody lose and then the plot has to go backwards or whatever, or like, oh gosh, the good guys just lost a lot of progress because that guy just bit it. You know, that didn't happen at all. The only person really who was like that was Yamamoto. But then they're just like, we got Kyoraku, and Yamamoto doesn't really ever do anything worthwhile anyway. Like, what did Yamamoto really do or change? Like, nothing.
Yeah.
What giant force did he stop? Like okay.
I mean, his shining moment was his Bankai. I mean, that's it. And then he died right after.
I mean, like, but what did he like? He kept Yuha busy because the Shadow Realm asked for him to come home. It was his curfew, or something. He had to go back. With Yamamoto, I mean, like, this is just complaining. This isn't what I really cared about. But like, that Bankai and that fight was amazing. But he didn't really solve anything, or even, like, he didn't do, like, he got his Bankai stolen, by the way, which, by the way, you watched never used.
Never came back again.
Yeah.
That is a plot point that I wish had been bigger throughout the arc, instead of being solved immediately by Urahara.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew he was going to find out, but, like, that should have played a bigger part, I think.
Also, why did Ichigo's hollow powers not absolutely wreck Yuha?
Because he's
because hollow is poison.
God.
But yeah,
At
exactly.
this point.
He's just God. It doesn't matter. Like,
and Ukitake didn't really even stop. By the way, another thing with his whole like cutting Crystal Boy in half, right?
oh my
and the world starts falling apart. He's just like, yes, I will make a new world. And then like Ukitake was like, here, take my goop so that you can actually harvest the Soul King powers.
Hagi-sama. Yay, this thing that just I so happen to have.
Take my Kool-Aid, my guy. Like, no. Ukitake, you got pranked, bro. Like,
you just got pranked.
Pranked! I was actually hoping you would do that the entire time. But yeah, just for that final fight, my big thing, I want everyone to get involved. I want Ichigo to fight with Orihime. I want him to fight with Chad. Chad, I forgot he existed. I want, Uryu showed up later on because his off-screen fight with his big arch nemesis apparently wasn't important enough to put on screen. They got rushed.
That was disappointing.
I know they got rushed, so I'm not.
What about the dads of the year?
Oh, the dads of the year.
Oh my god.
Them too. Okay, I don't.
Take this. It's gonna help you. Why don't you just do it, Dad?
Hey,
I
Dad. If I lose, the multiverse dies. You want to help? Do you have? Are you late for your soap opera? Get over here. Help me.
Well, I like how Ishin was there with him the whole time, but never spoke a word, and was just sort of behind him, Ryukin the entire time. Anytime Ryukin popped up, Ishin was there, but he didn't do anything.
Not doing anything.
Why was he there? Why did he come with him? He didn't.
I don't know.
Have him show up too. Show up. Have both of the dads show up, and they fight you. I don't care. Just give everybody something to do. Give everybody who matters something to do in the final fight. It is a big, all-out brawl between the strongest characters in the series versus the big guy who can do literally everything, and just all out. I mean, get Byakuya, get Rukia, get Kiraku, get everybody in there.
He was never good at.
That would be.
I'll talk about this later, actually. So we could wrap that up because I think we get the point. But
fair assessment.
This kind of covered our next topic. What are major changes / different paths that you wish Kubo took with Bleach?
I've got some different ones.
Okay, all right, we can talk about that for a second. Not just final arc. So if it leads into the final arc, maybe I wish that they did a thing where there was more school stuff, with Ichigo, his human life was more there was issues there, or he had fights with his family and he maybe wanted to join Soul Society instead. That's not my idea, but I'm saying if you want to say that, then go ahead.
I've got basically my 3 are summed up like this: a few more character deaths. Just a couple. I'm not characters don't need to die. That's a lot of people think they do to make a good story or to make the plot flow better.
No,
I disagree. But there are some characters that should have died in Bleach, and I can name them right now.
I wonder
Go
who.
for it. Number 1, Momo. She should have died twice, but they let her live.
You know
both
what?
Times.
I'll go.
Momo makes me furious. I hate Momo so much.
Oh boy.
It makes me so angry.
Man, all 5 Momo fans are gonna be so mad at you.
Oh man.
We're just kidding. If you like Momo, you're allowed to. However,
I don't dislike Momo, but I
realistically,
she should have been dead 4 times throughout that damn
do you know how much more powerful of a motivation people like Hitsugaya, for instance, would have? If Momo died because of Aizen, he'd be that much more pissed. But instead he's you hurt Momo, but we brought her here with her mental disability because she's still upset.
Oh,
she gets stabbed by him. Right there. What is that? She shouldn't have been there. She should be
she gets stabbed in the same exact spot as Aizen did the first time.
If she didn't die the first time, she should have died that time. Frick Momo. Get her away from me.
How does she not have a Unohana scar by now?
Oh my god.
But Momo should have died, basically. Kira also should have died. That was a huge
I am sort of okay with him living because he lives he lives a miserable life now, and I kind of
I'm more okay with him.
He doesn't deserve it, but it's very interesting. I like how dark that was, because if you
fair enough.
Yeah. If you've the only thing I've seen from the light novels is I heard about what his life is like after, and it's really good writing. He has to go and check up with Mayuri constantly. He has to get parts replaced. He constantly is oozing a disgusting liquid, and he's self-conscious. He doesn't have much energy. He's
just have
always in pain. That's what I was thinking, but because Orihime's too busy being really big, thick mama for Ichigo or something like that. I don't know. But with Kira, right? Is it Kira or Kiba? I always forget.
Kira.
It's definitely Kira.
Okay, it's Kira.
It could be.
He teaches at the academy with Yoriichi apparently, and I'm that's interesting. That's cool. So he's resorted to just teaching now because he's not in a position where he wants to fight or go do things himself anymore, and he's very depressed. They have laptops and stuff, and Renji sends him emails and they talk, and it's like, okay, this is actually interesting and good. This is very not like Bleach. Like they're actually like going because it's like there was a lot of things that they had to do, and I also felt like Kubo had a lot of stress to, okay, if you don't do a fight for a while, the people are going to get mad, which is like, that's annoying. And a lot of people got bored or annoyed with the Fullbring arc when I feel like it was like probably the second or third best arc, in my opinion.
That's a hot take, man.
That is a hot take, because I can't agree with
I
that.
thought it was all right.
There's
I'm gonna rewatch it eventually.
There's elements that are good, but at the same time, I like there's.
Okay, so let's talk about why you would. Sorry.
Wait, one more thing before we move on to what you wanted to say. Who's the third character, Spooky, that you would?
Oh yeah, who's gonna die? Who's gonna die?
Oh no, I didn't have 3 characters. I had 3 different things.
Oh.
I was just giving like my main 2 examples of who I thought should have died, but Momo is my main one. She should have been dead such a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But before I give my other points, like if you want to say what you got to say, go for it, my guy.
Yeah, go for it, Ryan.
Okay. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I know a lot of people decide to go in comments and go, am I the only one who liked this arc? Or, hey, I hated this arc. Anyone else agree? But I'm just going to give like my actual reasoning for it. Doesn't make me right. You're allowed to feel however you want, but I don't see why anyone, unless their just thing is they get bored really easily and they need constant fights to keep interested in something, which if that's true, I feel bad for you, because like there's a lot of good things to do with characters besides make them stab each other. For the second arc, I think almost everyone feels that the second arc was the best arc, right? It's almost
Soul Society arc?
Soul Society, yeah. It's almost like objectively the best arc.
It is the best arc, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have a different opinion, but you're wrong.
Yeah, the first arc was a little bit of a slow burn, but I really loved it. It's
a good start.
Favorite.
It's prestige. Yeah. It's like pristine Bleach. Like it's like woo, and it complements the second arc, a lot. So that would probably be my second choice. Now, if we're talking canon only, which I was, right, because there's some filler arcs that I loved, such as the Regai arc, because the animation in it was phenomenal, and it had some of the best fights out there. Plot wise, who cares? And then the same thing for the Zanpakuto arc, which was also a very interesting concept, and the character designs were really cool. But not. And then there was the friggin' Princess Larichio arc, which was the worst. It was worse than the Bound arc, if you ask me. Like the Bound arc was like, okay, at first, cool, creepy vampire people, whatever. And then when they got into Soul Society, I'm like, okay, this is trash. I didn't even know what filler was back then, but.
I didn't either. I thought that was total canon.
Yeah, and I was like,
I sat through that and I was like, this is a little weird for Bleach, but I'm like, okay, I'll roll with it. And then just kept going and going, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is not. Yeah. Sucks.
And then, oh man, that Princess Larichio arc. But
Larichio is only tolerable because it's like a 30 episode filler, whereas the Bound is like 60.
Yeah, and even that
the
one.
Bound was hard to get through.
It was very hard.
I watched the whole thing.
But canon arcs only. So there's the first arc, the second arc. I think the third one is the Rescue Orihime one, wasn't it? Orihime gets taken by. It was the Arrancar one. It was the Arrancar.
It feels like the whole Arrancar arc could be.
It was a very big blend.
I was gonna say the Arrancar arc after Soul Society arc. I feel it could be divided into like all these mini arcs.
Yeah, because it had
like
some good moments.
It could be divided into like, okay, so we got the first arc is just Ichigo's arc, whatever. We got Soul Society arc, and then the Arrancar arc. The Arrancar arc can be divided into the first part, which is just the Arrancar
showing up.
Yeah, showing up and all that. Then they had to go.
Ichigo's
the
fight
rescue
versus his demon.
Then the rescue versus the rescue Orihime.
No. Between that, there was the big bit of Ichigo getting
stuff.
Yeah, the visor stuff and the introduction.
Well, I still count that as the Arrancar arc because that's when the Arrancars show up in Karakura Town. Like you get Luffy and all those Grimmjow, him and Grimmjow, Ichigo and Grimmjow fight twice. I still consider that part of the Arrancar arc. And then as soon as I mean it is, but you can divide it up.
True.
A lot. Like I was like saying, if you could do the Arrancar arc, it would be that up to when Ulquiorra takes Orihime. Then it's the rescue Orihime, and then it's like the fake Karakura Town arc. Like it could be all sort of separated. That's a huge arc to kind of pick apart.
So out of the arcs, there was the Arrancar arc. I liked the visored part, like where Ichigo's fighting his inner demon and the Hollow and stuff. And Ichigo versus Hollow Ichigo is like one of the coolest things ever. It was like very, it kind of like made its own kind of genre, well, not genre, but it was like its own. It was very. It's a very big thing in anime. That concept of like the inner demon and stuff.
Of battling yourself.
Yeah, battling yourself, and like not obviously not the first person to do it, but very well executed, I feel. But then after that, it was not great stuff. It was just basically really good fights that kept everyone interested, and that was kind of like where Bleach just turned into that. I feel.
I liked the whole thing. I thought it was really good. The arc was great up to when Ichigo
the fake Kurakara town.
No, well, Ichigo's last fight with Grimmjow. I think when that fight ended, it started to go in a different direction, because I think you're talking about like all these like, I don't know, you were saying like themes or whatever, but like I liked Ichigo's final fight with Grimmjow because Grimmjow brought up a point. He's like, you could just take her and run. He's like, you could take the girl and run and get your friends and get out of here, but you chose to stay and you chose to fight me. He's like, that means something. And I love that. That's why I love Grimmjow's. He's not just a big, dumb, like,
bully
guy who's searching for power, bully. Like, he can read, like, his enemy, and he knows. And so I always love that, is when he's, like, he's so fighting back, and it like, the whole fight is just amazing. That is one of the best animated fights in the series.
100%.
And then after that, when they start and get into
Lukiora.
They get
Noitura.
into like Noitura comes up, and then that's when the captains show up, and like Kenpachi saves
it. It was a cool fight.
And then they have all those fights, but those are all like they're just all fights. It's like, well, like really Noitura versus Kenpachi is the best, but then it's like, okay, here's freaking Byakuya versus Zomari. Okay.
No, I didn't like that.
Zael versus Mayuri. That
one was like kind of cool.
Mayuri's are always like interesting because he always finds some way to beat them. But other than that,
it's kind of that one was like, I win because you ate my person, and I put a thing into my person where if you eat them, they die. You die. Which he never did that again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he could have. Like, why wasn't Mayuri a war potential? I mean, he is disgustingly smart. Like,
he won them the war.
Yeah.
Because he got the hollow pills. He developed the hollow pills with Urahara. And also, he saved Rose, he saved Kensei, he saved Toshiro, he saved Rangiku,
he saved the zombies. He saved all the zombie characters.
He saved all the zombies.
He is a total MVP of that final arc. I'm just realizing that.
Honestly, yeah. And another thing, he single-handedly defeated with Nemu, but Nemu is his creation, right?
Yeah. He defeated the left hand of the Soul King.
Yeah, Mayuri is not to be, messed with.
No.
And so, like, I enjoy Mayuri fights. I feel like there are a lot of just like, good thing I had this gadget that will help me win, and I made it earlier because I knew this would happen. Okay, but it's still, I really like the fights. I love Mayuri fights.
Well, I guess So back to my original point was that there's that fight in that Aranga, but right after Ichigo's fight, that's where I noticed there's just kind of this weird, like, it takes a different track almost. It starts to feel different. I don't know. It is like you were saying, like, it's really just fight after fight after fight after fight. There's no real build up for characters or
right. How much did
arcs for these characters? It's more just like, I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna lose. Like,
exactly, and that's my point. Like,
the one exception might be Ichigo versus Ulquiorra, maybe.
That one, it's like Ulquiorra that was a good conclusion to Ulquiorra's character arc. Yeah. However, there was no build up of his character either, though. It was just he was just a threat. That was it. Mm-hmm. There was no, like, if they had done more stuff like with the Orihime thing, where she was like slowly convincing him to leave Aizen and to like stop doing things wrong, right? Or like find out who he truly was. If he did that, like a normal anime might do, that would have been way better. And then like when he's fighting Ichigo, maybe she was just like, please don't fight him. And then like they're both like, we have to fight though. Like, I have no choice.
He would have been a great counterbalance to the Grimmjow fight that he had just had. Like, he wanted to fight and beat the crap out of Grimmjow and potentially kill him. Yeah. Whereas then you go to this one, it's like, I don't have to. I probably shouldn't.
Think if there was a part with the Ulquiorra fight, besides obviously like Ichigo got just bodied and then Vastalord bodied Ulquiorra. But what if Orihime like got in between both of them and stopped them, and they're like, who are you protecting? Like, why'd you get in the middle? Did you do it to like protect Alukiora or Ichigo? Like, blah blah blah. Like, obviously she cares more about Ichigo, obviously, but
she did marry him.
She did, yeah. Kind of gave him children, but
Yes.
she's like, who is she more scared is going to get hurt, kind of thing, because like depending on who is winning the fight or something like that.
Because there was that thing Ulquiorra said. He's like, "Are you sure that she's still the same Like, that was weird. Do you remember that? Where he's like, "Are you sure that she's still like? What do you like?" And
That was
Ichigo
Grimjo.
freaked
That was
out, and
Grimjo.
he's like, "Was it?"
Yeah, that was Grimjo.
I swear Ulquiorra said it.
No, Grimjo did it to make Ichigo want to fight because Ichigo didn't want to fight.
Okay. Still, that was another.
And then he
thing that
goes,
just
he's
never
like-
meant anything.
Yeah, he was like, bastard, what'd you do to her? And he's just like, heh, I like that look in your eyes. Remember?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I forgot. Yeah.
But, what was I talking? Oh yeah, so just to rate the arcs again, because I feel like people are still going to be mad at me because they're like, what? He likes the Fullbring arc that much? Just because it's like, they completely threw away the human element of Ichigo after the second arc. And that was what kind of made Bleach interesting. It's just like, there's this human boy. Like, if you look at the synopsis for Bleach, Ichigo is a normal 15-year-old teenager, but he can see ghosts. That's his thing. And he gets the powers from Rukia and he becomes a Soul Reaper. Then he just became full-time Shinigami substitute. And just he was constantly saving Soul Society, blah, 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 blah. And there was no mixing of it. He wasn't developing a life of his own, you know? He wasn't doing things with his sisters. He wasn't doing things with his friends. He wasn't doing things with his dad. There was no development on Ichigo's family side. There was a small thing in the Fullbring arc, though, with Karin and Ishin, right? Not much Yuzu. Yuzu just got older. But, like, they were starting to do it again, finally. And I'm like, you should have done this after the second arc. There was
I did like that about the Fullbring arc.
Right.
Well,
and,
like,
and
Karin
it's also
went to go see Urahara, and then it never. You thought that there was something going on, and then nothing happened with that.
right. And I feel like the Fullbring arc, it made me happy because there was so much potential with it too. I don't know how you could fix fake Kirkire Town arc. Like, it was basically, what's Kubo's idea of a war? Okay, everyone go to your corners and fight, and the winner come out, just like you did with the, like. I'm not saying people need to have team fights constantly, because they don't. 1v1's cool. Who mind? I don't mind that. But, like, it's so simple writing when constantly it's just, like, matchmaking. It's honestly, it's just a Tinder of fights. Like, okay, Byakuya's gonna go against this guy, and it's a battle of who's faster. And, okay, Kenpachi versus Noitora. Who's stronger? Who has more endurance? Okay, Kenpachi, because Kenpachi. Ichigo versus Alukiora. Well, Alukia's stronger, but Ichigo's main character. You lose Alukiora, guess what? Vaster Lord. Like, it was just kind of all of that. Like, if there was stuff like, maybe earlier, Urahara, didn't help Ichigo in a fight or something like that, and Ichigo, you know, almost died, and everyone was, like, starting to doubt Urahara. But what he was doing was he was creating something, and he felt maybe really guilty about that, because he was like off doing something else, and he created something that would save Ichigo if he ever got into that big of a pinch, and it was his way of making up for it. And so say Ichigo loses the fight against Alukiora, and then that thing gets set off, and it gives him like a revive or something like that, and then it's like, okay, now I can fight Alukiora again, and then Alukiora is weakened enough where he can just barely beat him, but he wouldn't have Urahara hadn't done that or something like that, which is kind of what happened with Aizen, sort of, not really. He put Aikido in him, and then he got one shot, and then he's like, I'm back, but I'm not. But I just feel like there was like a lot, there was some setup for things, right? But there wasn't enough, like, just blatant, like, this happened back then, so that this could happen now, you know?
Right.
I just,
Yeah.
This is how I feel. I just get lots of ideas, and as a creator, and you know, and like, I am a very big Bleach fan, so don't get us wrong, people listening. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't talk like this if we didn't friggin' love Bleach. Like, we're passionate about it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I complain about it a lot, but I love the series.
Same here.
I love the characters, and I love the world as a whole. Like, it's
I
one,
could
like,
have
if I had to
animated
pick
Berserk.
one, like, I would love.
Sorry.
No, but no, I was gonna. Yeah, no, you're 1000% right.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't complain if we didn't love it this
Criticism
much. We
does
care.
not
We
mean
care. Yeah, we care about that. we're talking about it like this because we care about it and we wish it had done a little bit more. So
let's move on to a more positive thing that we have, because I think we've done a lot of like speculating and complaining. What are 3 things that you think Kubo did very well, or 3 things you specifically like from Bleach? So let's start with you, Spook.
Okay, well, obviously, the Soul Society arc as a whole, I think we can say is probably one of the best shonen arcs of all time.
Yeah, I would
That
agree.
whole thing, I don't really think I would change much, if anything, except Momo's death. But I'd say that's number 1 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it some more thought, so if someone wants to jump in with one of their own, I'll keep thinking of my other 2.
I'll just say I mean he did really well. His art got so much better as the series went on. I feel like that's like cliche to say, but like go look at the first couple volumes and then see how his art got so much better. Like I think he's a good artist. I think he has a very specific design for his characters, and I think he does that very well. And I love, like I was saying, the characters in this are really cool and just designed greatly, and he came up with great powers with the Shikai and the Bankai, and giving people these distinct personalities to kind of associate with this special ability, their Shikais and Bankais. Like, I thought he did that pretty well, and he set up a really interesting world. Did he execute it correctly? I don't know, but I think he set up a really interesting world with great design characters, I would say.
I
definitely agree.
Yeah,
definitely agree.
I was gonna say he created very attractive and appealing characters. You know, both male and female, and they're just like, you know, you get it, so you can so easily get attached to each and every one of them. They may not be as well developed as other characters from other series, right?
Yeah.
Like, to do a quick comparison with Naruto, right? There's like a lot of characters got full arcs or like full stories. Like, they have their childhood is recorded, their teenagehood, their adulthood, and their deaths. Like, you basically know the lifeline of every character for the most part.
Well, I would also argue that Bleach does a way better job at giving the side characters attention, even though it, like, from an outside perspective, it may not really seem like it. But a lot of the side characters in Naruto, except for like maybe 5, barely get any development throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Bleach, like, especially during the Soul Society arc, like, we get to learn a lot about each character who's getting introduced to us along with their backstories.
I just wish
got
they
a lot
didn't
of
do
that.
it right before they died.
Like,
'Cause
can you tell me anything about Shino from Naruto? No, you can't. It's just one example of many.
Although
like,
you follow,
there,
the thing is,
you know who they
they were
are.
just so long established. Like, I think the thing that ended up Kubo did that shot himself in the foot was just how late characters were introduced. And so it's like, if they haven't been around for very long, right, and then their character arc ends or they die or something like that, it's just like, wow, great for developing him. He's around for 30 chapters, now he's gone. But with Naruto, it's like, there's Shino. Shino was around for the entire series. He's still around, right? And so
Yeah, but, like, what
he
can
didn't.
you tell me about?
I was gonna
He
say,
didn't
just
do-
being
he didn't-
around doesn't mean anything.
No,
It
I
just
know.
means he's there. He's
No,
not,
no.
like, he's barely a character.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was something bad Kubo did. I'm saying it's easier to see it as lack of development. With Shino being there, you're just like, yeah, Shino's been here since the start, and he grew up too. Maybe he wasn't as interesting as the others, but you know, he was always there. He did stuff like he competed in the the tournament things for the badge or the
rank.
the promotion. Like, he did stuff like that. He did his own training, but that was kind of lame or whatever. He participated in the Shinobi War, blah 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 blah. And he did have little bits. He had that thing with his big brother that had the purple skin. You remember that?
I don't remember
You
that at all.
you couldn't
I've
touch
never
him
seen
if you
Naruto.
touched his skin. He was part of what was the dick's name? The Dan or Doru or Danzo, or was it Danzo?
Oh, Danzo.
Danzo, yeah, Danzo. You remember he got his 2 guys stolen when he was fighting Obito and Sasuke, and then it was one of the guys could make his skin purple, and he would put poison bugs on anything he touched. And then that's how Obito lost his arm again, and also Shino had to fight him again in the war, and Naruto came and helped him, and blah blah blah. But very small little things. Not, by the way, I'm not defending Shino's character. Shino's a very boring character. But I'm saying that to most, that's probably why people feel that Bleach didn't do it very well, is because everyone was so long. Like, there was most of the characters that were, you know, at the end of Naruto were there in the beginning, besides like Kaguya and a few others. Like, the Akatsuki was very early established. It took them forever. They were like such a long thing that was defeated very slowly over the series. Orochimaru was there throughout the entire series. Jiraiya got introduced early, and then like later on he did a lot of stuff, and then he died. Spoiler. There's lots of spoilers here. I apologize if we'll do a giant spoiler warning at the beginning of this.
I mean, I definitely agree.
It was it was such a slow burn.
Around longer, that doesn't necessarily mean like they're more.
I'm not saying
like,
it. I'm saying that's why it comes across to people. I'm saying like this is how like why people complain about Bleach like that, because it seems like nothing's happening with characters just because they weren't around for very long. Because Bleach didn't run as long as Naruto or the other ones, and character arcs were perhaps more full, but they were shorter. And so it creates that perspective of just like, okay, say the guys who are like all of the Quincy, right? Let's look at Asnot, or what's an actually decent Bazb and Jugrim, right? By the way, I think were amazing characters. They had an amazing backstory, but you only really found out about it in their final little fight. We saw them a few times, and then they fought people and they died, right? They got introduced in the final arc of Bleach. Now, if they were around from the beginning, people probably would have been like, but say they didn't have that crazy, like, well-written backstory, if they were around from the beginning of Bleach, people probably would have said that they were really well-established characters. And then when you see them die finally after so long, then you're like, wow, you know? I'm not saying that it's better, but I'm saying I think that's where the idea comes from with a lot of people. They confuse longevity of the character arc versus quality and fullness of the character arc.
Well, so
but that's also like... Go ahead, Tensa. Go ahead.
Well, real quick, you mentioned Baz and Hashwell. So are you saying because they were introduced so late that their little characterization and background story they have means a little less than someone who's
I'm not
introduced
saying
at the
it
beginning?
means less. I'm saying that it can come off that way, and that's where it causes... I'm saying there's a confusion. I'm saying with most Bleach fans, right? Or just not even Bleach fans, just anime fans or manga fans. They're just like, well, I wish more was done with them. They basically just think that they wanted them to be around longer. Like, if you... I'm not saying it made it worse. I think that it's better. I think it's better to have, you know, if it doesn't last very long, okay. I mean, it'd always be nice to see more of them. But because they were introduced so late in the game, and then they died not that much later, just because of how long the arc lasted, it makes it seem like they didn't have much to them. But that's just because they just didn't have much time. They still had like they had a lot of fullness to them, right? You're
mainly talking about the villains.
I'm mainly talking about the villains, because like, but I mean, like, all of the good guys for the we don't know
like,
too much about a lot of the characters, but like most all the Soul Society people, they have like, okay, how did they start out? Rangiku had her thing with Gin. Ikaku had his thing with Yumachika and how they met Kenpachi. Now he has that great respect for him.
Soifon and Yoruichi.
Byakuya has a very long line of doing stuff.
Or Mayuri and Urahara.
Yeah. Everyone has like a long history. And so those characters are appreciated a lot more. But with Kubo, he was like, okay, here's a new villain army. Okay, here's a new villain army. Okay, here's a new villain army. And
well, I would just say that basically I get what you're saying, but I feel like you're wording it wrong. Like,
I was wording it wrong, and I was like,
saying that the villains are really not fleshed out. What I was trying to say is I feel like a lot of the side characters in in Bleach, because obviously Ichigo...
I'm saying they are fleshed out. I'm
right?
saying they weren't around long enough for people to perceive it as good development, even though it was good development.
Okay, so the captains came in what we would consider the second arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the captains got a lot of their backstory in that arc. Not all of them, but most of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would consider like side characters getting development. Whereas in Naruto, a character like Shino, who's been around the entire time, barely had any development throughout the whole series. He was just there, he got little bits, but you really don't know that much about what he can do other than that he uses bugs and that he's really quiet. Like, that's basically his character. Like, they could have done so much more developing him throughout the series, giving him his own like slot where he has like actual development and a backstory.
They did do it with some
or
characters,
anything.
like
I'm not saying they didn't do it with everybody.
I think,
like I said, it's like 5 characters.
yeah,
Like Rock
yeah, I
Lee,
agree.
Gaara, characters like that.
What was his name?
Neji, the Hyuga, they did a good job.
And
But, like, most of the
Shikamaru,
other
Shikamaru
characters-
was like one of the best with the sensei dying bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that was important stuff like that. But with a lot of other characters, they didn't touch them like barely at all.
I feel
Whereas
like
in Bleach-
they're pretty equal in Bleach, like the amount that they got. Like Bleach did a lot better than most people think. By the way, this is me defending Bleach. I don't know if I'm making that clear. This is me saying that they did good. I'm saying that I think that the confusion.
I'm slightly confused just because I don't know what I've never watched Naruto or read Naruto.
Oh,
so I don't,
okay.
I'm
So
like,
you
I'm
have
like
no
so.
comparison.
I have like no bet in this here. I'm just kind of like sitting here. I'm like, I don't know who's who and who the hell you're talking about.
I
So
understand.
I see what you're saying, Ryan. Yeah, it's just the way that you've been wording it. I'm trying to get a hold of it, but I think I understand what you're saying.
Sorry.
It's more just like they give in Bleach, they give all the side characters, like they give them their moment. They make you understand what they're for, basically like what their character is. They give you all that in a condensed amount of time, and then a lot of the side characters who are introduced early are around the whole time. Now characters like Chad, obviously they're developed, but then the development goes to shit because everything else progresses like on a power scaling thing, and they just left him in the dust. But what you're saying, I think, is a lot of the villains just show up and then they die. You don't really know what they're about or what they're doing other than a select few,
no.
which I definitely agree with. Like
That is
when you're
true,
making the
but
comparison
I
with
mean-
the Akatsuki, most of them have been around for a while and developed all the way throughout that time, very slowly. But
I feel like the
maybe I'm just
Akatsuki-
misunderstanding, but this is what I'm getting out.
Okay,
of it.
okay. You know what? You hear that because then I'll actually know how to say it. Go for it.
Wait, what?
I'm saying like you keep talking, and then I'll maybe know how to like I'll see if there was a confusion or like maybe what I've been saying has been coming across as.
Oh, well, I basically explained it just as, like, I feel like you're talking more about the villains in Bleach showing up, not having much about their characters, and then getting cashed. Like, obviously, Bleach has its throwaway other characters for sure. I'm not going to deny that. Every series does.
I was gonna say
But a lot of the main
that's just-
characters, yeah.
I-
Like, the captains, a lot of the lieutenants.
I was talking
Most of
villains
Ichigo's
specifically, and I was
Yeah,
saying
that's what I'm
that
saying.
what a lot of people and like because the villains complement the heroes always, and so it kind of doesn't give much chances for the heroes to develop further either. Just the villains, some of them were developed well, but my complaint was not even a complaint, but well, a little bit. But my issue was because of how quickly they came in, got their stuff together, and left. Versus other series that were like more long, like the other shonen ones that were like longer running. Like the Akatsuki were there from basically the beginning, right? Obviously, Orochimaru was the threat first, but then like, you know, they were always there. And so like when you finally deal with them and you finally face off with them and maybe learn a little bit more about it, it has more weight behind it. Now,
I agree.
so then with Bleach, it's like, okay, nice to meet Espada number 8. You are meeting me for the first time. This fight will be the first time you see me, basically, for real, and I will also die in this fight.
Well, yeah, but I would just say that's a villain problem, not a side character problem.
I said specifically villains. I wasn't talking just.
I don't
wasn't-
remember you saying that at first. At first,
maybe
don't
I
think you
did. Maybe I
Yeah,
didn't.
I
Okay.
didn't either, yeah.
Sorry.
That's why I made this whole argument.
Sorry,
basically.
I apologize. Then I mean
All good.
I mean specifically villains because
I think the good villains Bleach does really well, but like you're saying, a lot of like the lower tier villains, or even some of the higher tier ones, really. Now that I think about it,
with the exception of like Grimmjow and like I guess Alukiora, like Stark, right? Stark was introduced like he took a nap. Okay, we met him. He took a nap. Lilinet got angry at him. Okay, cool. And then he's fighting Kyoraku. The first time we've really talked to Stark, and that was the fight he died. You know, he was a great character. He was actually one of my favorite. He's my like second, third favorite. And he died in that fight. And it's like, okay, well, he had a great little character arc, but it literally lasted for one fight.
well, fun fact, he might not actually be dead. Did you know that?
I think I did hear that. That's really,
really?
cool.
I researched him once because I was gonna do a video on him, but I couldn't find enough.
By
But
the way,
one thing
how
I
do these
did think
people
was really cool-
survive? I don't get it. Like
the one thing, like it's kind of like up in the air, right? Because we know that Holly Bell and Grimjow are alive, right? When one of the data books first came out, it listed Holly Bell and Grimjow as unknown, and it also listed that for Stark. And then we found out those two were alive, so like for him, it was never confirmed if he's actually dead, which made it kind of seem like maybe he's still out there. But then we never saw him, so it's kind of like, even if he is alive, why does it matter? It doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's just a little fun fact.
Well,
He
fuck.
could be alive.
He's good.
He's probably in a bar somewhere.
I'll here's a hot take. I was never a huge fan of Stark.
That's fine.
His resurrection design is amazing, but as a character, he did just sort of come off as the Espada Shunsui.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like I don't know, like for some reason I enjoyed someone like Halibel more. I liked her design more. I thought her resurrection was cool. I don't know.
There was also
Yeah, I just kind of liked her a lot more. Like people are always like, I love Stark because guns and he has cool and he's just lazy, and I'm like, okay, but like
how about some more?
as a character, what else?
Like, I
Like
think
he's lazy
everyone-
and he's the number one. Like okay,
Everyone can agree. Ukiora, Grimjow, top 2.
Yeah.
I would say
Yes.
Holly Bell's 3, and I know that's her
Yeah.
numbered, but like
no, I
out of the
thousand,
people, I would say she's
I
the
would-
third best.
I would
I-
1,000%
she
1,000% agree.
I think she makes it only into the top 3 because of the anime only flat story that she was given, because she didn't have that in the
See,
manga.
even that, I
Okay,
still
then you're
liked her
basing
in
it
the
only.
manga.
Okay, you're only basing it off of her design though. At that point.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I liked her personality. I liked her
I thought
more.
she was more of a character. Like,
Yeah.
Like, what is Baragon? He's just a dude who's deaf.
Yeah,
basically.
he got more backstory in the manga and the anime,
I would-
and I didn't give a rat's ass
And he was
about
so less
Baragon.
interesting.
Yeah, he was way less. I am the king of. He's the king of Hueco Mundo.
I would have.
And
argued,
I don't care.
I would have.
don't
I wouldn't have
care.
argued Baragon. I would have argued maybe Noitura or.
I like Noitura, to be
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
I like Noitura.
And he
yeah.
had his-
like
he
I would,
had
I
his
would
whole
say
thing with
maybe he's like
Nell.
my number 4.
and his thing was just like he was obviously just prideful, and he did care about he had a complicated relationship with Nell, and he felt he had like this whole like inferiority complex with her, and then he was mean to his subordinate, but when his subordinate almost was about to get killed, he freaked out and was like, yeah, get away, that guy's gonna kill you. And it's
Well,
like you see two sides of him. And then with Kenpachi, he like really struggled with it, because it's like he wanted to live, obviously, but he was too angry and proud to like accept that somebody was taking pity on him and letting him live. And he was just like, I can't live with that though. And so he basically made Kenpachi kill him. And it's like he was an ugly, piece of crap, but he was like way more interesting than
Well,
a
then
lot
with
of
all
them.
with all that said, where does he rank in your Espada?
Probably
You
put
said
him
you
at, like,
said
number
that
5.
4. I'd say 4. I said it, but
Okay.
he'd probably be 3 if Haribel's anime only backstory didn't exist, because her like sacrifice and her care for her Francion and like all of her stuff in Hueco Mundo is what made her interesting to me. Because with Toshiro, she was just like, let me unzip my booby jacket, I'm gonna kick your ass, and I also have a really cool design.
Are you bashing the booby jacket?
No,
I'm okay with this.
I'm saying that's all she had
We're-
going for her.
I mean,
in the
I would
manga.
just call that another example of what we were talking about way in the beginning, where if the anime took liberties to fix some things and add some stuff that
Right.
was beneficial,
Yep.
it could make a character like Hollybell, who what you're saying is a lot less interesting, a lot more interesting.
Right,
And
as
I
they
think we should encourage
did.
that.
I think we should encourage that too. We are.
I can't even think of his name though, but
Who?
go
By the
for
way,
it.
there is Aaron Nero with his
I was
little
just
arc.
gonna say the.
He was
Dude,
I
interesting.
can't think of his name.
He was
I
interesting.
never liked
I don't
Tube
care about
guy?
him, but he gave a really good fight.
Yeah, the fight was amazing, but him as just a character, like
Yeah, he was a blob monster. Who cares?
yeah.
I
I didn't
mean-
get it. He was a tube monster.
He's my least favorite.
He was
Like how
Wait.
can he exist as a Ronkar? He lives in a fishbowl. Like I thought that was so weird.
Him
Oh,
and the guy Byakuya fought. I can't think of
Zamari.
Zamari.
Oh yeah,
Zamari
yeah.
was
Those two are my
Zamari's
least
so
favorite.
bland.
he was the worst in my
Yeah.
opinion. Because the thing with Aaron Nero is I kind of mix him with Evil Kayan, right?
Yeah.
His existence on its own was not interesting. but his existence as a combination in mesh of Kayan and Aranero was what made him interesting, because it's like, this guy is the only person who can break Rukia's spirit, and she still got over it, which was like, okay, cool. Like, he complements the hero really well, and I think that a good villain, shows you more about the hero. That is
good Rukia development.
It was good Rukia development, yeah. And she got, she kind of got left, she was kind of on a fork at the end of that, but but we're at an hour and 20 minutes basically, so we have some final little quick fire questions that we can go through, and then anything else we want to say, we can go for it. But
I was gonna say, I was curious. Spooky was saying something earlier.
Oh yeah,
in the break that he had.
Now.
Oh well, okay. We'll do the fire off questions, and then maybe we can touch that, because I'm curious.
Cool.
Yeah. If not, I'll talk to you about it afterwards when we're done with the video, and then everyone else can sit there and wonder.
Okay. What's your favorite location in Bleach? I know what mine
I'm
is.
gonna go with Hueco Mundo. Soul Society would be second.
I would say
be Cliché.
Urahara's shop.
Good choice. I will.
I'll be cliche and just say Soul Society. It's cool. I love how it has that kind of feudal Japan sort of look. I don't know. I love all that. I love all the buildings, and yes, it is. It's very calming.
I agree. Okay. So the next question is, any characters you wish did more throughout the series? I think we've
cover it?
beat that dead horse.
Yeah.
However, so I will replace that question with, who is your favorite character from the series?
I like Geen. Probably could have figured that out.
I am a Grimjow fan. He's always been my favorite.
I'm going to say Byakuya.
I'm just kidding.
So that makes total sense.
Just for that dramatic effect.
Yeah. Any character that turns from the main villain to one of the best supporting heroes, I think is a good character.
It does take a man to admit they're wrong.
Yes, it does. And the final question, favorite character design, not based on personality or plot involvement, but based purely on their aesthetics.
Ooh, that is tough. Because you can even get into Bankai versions of them.
Yeah, I would say, just thinking of my old edgelord self, I would probably say Ukiura. I'd say I always thought he was really cool design-wise.
Yeah.
Especially that is a released form.
I love
think
that
his first release form is very underappreciated.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
He was creepy in that form.
Yeah.
Like
both his release forms are amazing. That first one doesn't get enough credit because it's so overshadowed by the second version, which is still cool. But that first version goes very unnoticed. But I always thought it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably pick him though, aesthetic-wise.
Very nice. What about? Should
I
can go.
You go, because I was gonna pick Ulquiorra too. Because I was gonna say Ulquiorra, or I was gonna say Grimjow, but I don't know.
I feel like you like Grimjow
kind of
more for his personality.
I do, but I don't know. I love the jaw mask. I don't know. I like the blue hair. He's got that spiky I don't know. It's just, I don't know, his whole design, and I like his release form. It's really cool. But come back to me then. I'll think of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. I would have to say Rukia. I'm sticking with my Kuchiki duo. I'd say Rukia because obviously she was. I like all of the sketches that Kubo used to do of her at the beginning, when he would do them on the color spreads with all the different outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
She had some pretty cool looks there, and her Bankai, the Haka no Tagame, is just crazy, and I really, really wanted to animate it and draw it, and I haven't gotten a chance to, but
this is a good answer.
Indeedle.
Okay.
I would say
then.
Go for it.
Sorry, I'll say Yoruichi. I don't know. I like the darker skinned characters. That's why I think I like Halle Bell too. But I like Yoruichi. She's just whenever she pops up, just design alone, I'm always just yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, cool.
I would say
Just one of my
that.
favorite female shonen like characters. Period. I just think she's the coolest, and she has great design, and yeah.
Another character that comes to mind for me would be Renji. Because I don't like Renji as a character very much, but I do think he looks really cool. Like, I really like his tattoos, his Bankai and Shikai, the way, especially his Shikai, the way it looks. I always thought it was really cool. But it goes, for me, it goes about as far as his design. Because I don't really like him much as a personality.
Yeah.
I just figured I'd throw that in there.
My second would be Urahara,
Very good choice.
because he's kind of like the perfect, like, casual but badass, also very intimidating.
Old man sensei.
Like, Urahara is like, whenever I think about, like, oh my gosh, that guy's gonna get involved, the person who's given me the most, like, he doesn't even try, he never tries, and you would always lose if you were to try. Like, he's got that, like, OP but doesn't flaunt it. He's just that number one character for me.
I got you.
What about, do you have a second one there? Tensa.
It's Grimjow and Okiora. I mean, we've already
And then
talked about it. So, I mean, I
Yoruichi.
would say I love those three. I think those are three of my favorite, just designs wise. Like I said, with Grimjow, yeah, I like his personality, but I think I remember when I first started watching it and he would pop up, I was like, that dude is so freaking cool. Like, I love, again, the jaw mask is really great. I love the blue spiky hair, his little vest outfit, and I think he has, like, yeah, I just think he has a really cool design. And Okiora, again, he has the two best releases in the series, so yeah.
I also like Zanka no Tachi Yamamoto. But that's just because I enjoy drawing him, so. Okay. Well, there was anything else that we wanted to, did you remember what you were going to say, Spook?
Oh, I do, but I'll save it for another time.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our senseless babbling about the amazing thing that is the Bleach series. And yeah, let us know if you want to ever hear another one of these again. I know I sincerely enjoyed this. This was really fun. It's nice to actually just talk about Bleach too, because like, but it's usually like people always ask me Bleach questions like on the streams and stuff, and sometimes like on Twitter and videos, but like I don't want to always talk about Bleach a little bit and answering the same generic questions. I like to dive into it really deep every now and then, like this. I would much prefer this.
Yeah.
And I think this is more like gratifying as well. But yeah, and if there's anything else that you guys would like us to discuss, I'm sure we would be more than open to it. I know that we have a lot of ideas for future ones. So if you did enjoy, please let us know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, drop a like.
Give us some topics. Give us some, if you like the Bleach stuff, then give us some more.
Come on, give me some
ideas. Maybe like I like answering questions, but sometimes I like talking more broad. Like if we want to talk Bleach, we can maybe go into the final arc instead of talking about all of it as a whole. Or if you want us to talk about Soul Society arc, or just
Or
anything like that. Or if you want us to talk about another series in general. If you want us to talk about My Hero Academia,
I'd be up for that.
Ask us.
Also, like, I know I have 100 old ideas of how I was going to change the final arc for my series that I'm probably never going to do, like, because it would have been like a lot of extra work to change it that much. And we could always discuss that if you guys are interested in hearing some of those, old abandoned ideas, because I would love to talk about some of them.
Yeah, be sure to let us know, boys.
Yeah.
Lads.
So
Girls and gals and guys and frogs.
all right, so we will see you all very soon, and don't forget to subscribe. And yeah.
Make sure to drop a like.
Yeah, that thing that we
Comment,
said.
like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Our social media links are down in the description below.
Be sure to share it with one friend, or I'm gonna murder your family.
That's more aggressive than my usual tactics, but we'll go with it.
Hey, I didn't say it.
I didn't say it. It was that guy. It was over there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
All right, peace.
Bye.
Wow.